it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. So first off, I wanted to let you guys know that I won't be able to do a video every week. So they will be a bit more sporadic, especially lately we've had school holidays here in Australia, so that's why I haven't been able to do a video for a few weeks. But I'm not forgetting about you, and I definitely have a few more videos coming. So today I wanted to discuss meditation. I know it's a video that I've promised I would do for a while now, and it's time. I'm doing it today. So I want to discuss the benefits of meditation to begin with, and discuss, what personally the benefits that I've found by practicing meditation in my personal life. So it might not resonate with you, it might not be what you experience, but this is what I've experienced. And then I want to discuss how I went about it, because I actually had a lot of resistance to it. Okay, so meditation, everyone's talking about it. It's definitely a practice that is highly recommended. And what I want to start with is to explain that it's definitely not a magic pill. It won't fix all of your problems. But what I've found with me is that, I was reading all these books, all these parenting books that I've summarized here, and a lot of them explain that before you react to your child when there's an issue, you need to pause. And I never understood that, because I couldn't pause. I literally couldn't. And when I started meditation, that's actually helped me find that pause. Because what's happened with practicing meditation is that my awareness changed. So instead of being on autopilot for 95% of the day, I started being able to catch myself and be more aware in everyday situation. And obviously the more I practiced meditation, the easier it became. So I've been practicing meditation for 2 years now, and I would say I'm actually 95% of the day I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, whereas before I was on autopilot for 90% of the time. So awareness is the major benefit that I got from meditation. And obviously the byproduct of all of that is that, yes, it makes you calmer, it makes you less reactive, but the best way I can describe it is that you have an awareness shift. So you're able to actually have that interaction with your child and be able to observe what's happening within you in terms of your thoughts and your emotions that are arising. And in a nutshell, basically it means that you're more present in your body. So instead of being so focused on the past or the future, which is what happens when you're on autopilot, you're really present, you're into the present moment, and you're in your body, which means that you can actually feel what's going on internally. We've become so detached from our thoughts and emotions because we live such busy lives, and we've become so detached from our internal system. Our thoughts, our emotions are actually a GPS system. And once you're able to pause and catch that thought or catch that emotion, you can actually decipher it and understand what's happening and why. So not all thoughts and emotions are, required to be acted upon, for example. Or another thing is that, if you've got anger rising based on an interaction with your child or your partner, it might be, when you pause, you might realize, okay, this is a trigger from a past trauma that actually has nothing to do with the situation at hand. And this is when you express that and you're like, I need to work on this. Or it can actually be totally in line with what's happening, but it's a call for setting a firm boundary. So that's how with the practice of meditation, that's how I was able to view each situation and, decipher what's happening and decide on what the course of action was. And obviously 2 years later, I've practiced this so much, and I'm able to do it so much quicker. It's become second nature, but it's taken me 2 years to get here. And what's happening scientifically in your body is that you're actually rewiring your brain pathways. We've been talking about the brain a lot in a lot of the book summaries that I've done. And it makes so much sense, because every time you pause and you change how you react, then it rewires your neural pathways. And the more you practice that and the more you rewire that, the more second nature it will become to be calmer and understand what's going on and be more receptive and be more attuned to your own emotions, but also attune to your child, your partner, whoever you're interacting with. Be more attuned to what's happening with them as well. Because what's happened to me as well is that I was actually able to decipher what was mine and what was theirs. So, I can say that I'm quite empathetic. So an issue that's happened in my life is that I tend to take too much responsibility for what's not mine. And now I'm able to, see what's happening, say I've got an argument with someone, and see that that's actually not my shit. That's your shit. You deal with that. That has nothing to do with me. So it's also very helpful not to take over everyone's shit. So when you're going to start the meditation process, you're going to realize that you won't be able to stop your thoughts, and that's actually not the aim. The goal of meditation is to become the observer of your thoughts and emotions. Because once you're able to become the observer of your thoughts and emotions, then you can actually decide what to do with them. Like I said, some thoughts and emotions are not valid. I know that everyone says your emotions are all valid. No, like sometimes it's a trigger of a past trauma. It's not valid in the moment. Like you need to work on that. So now I can say that I'm at the point now where all of my emotions are valid, definitely, and all of my thoughts are as well. But it takes practice to get there. And when I started, it wasn't. I was creating fights that were not necessary. So I was entirely responsible for that because I was, listening to my emotions too much without understanding what was under that. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so just to finish, I wanted to also explain how I went about it, because as a very rational, left brain minded person, I had so much resistance to it. Sitting there for 20 minutes, listening to something and not doing anything was just like so much for me. So the approach that I took is to make it so achievable that I had no excuses anymore. So instead of starting with a 20-minute meditation, I started with 3 minutes. Literally, I'm not joking, 3 minutes. That's all I could handle. And then I increased that incrementally. So I think I went from 3 to 5. And, I was doing this for weeks at a time. Every day I do it in the evening before going to bed. And then I went up to 8 minutes and then 10, and now I'm up to 20, and that's enough. Like I can't do more than that. And now I'm actually at the point where I don't do it every day. I do it a few times a week. But I definitely couldn't start with a 20-minute meditation to begin with. What also worked for me is that I couldn't do the guided meditation. I find that listening to someone talk was so distracting that it just didn't work for me. So I listen to music, and there's someone on YouTube that I love. I love her music. It's so soothing. So if you are interested in that, I'm very happy. Leave me a comment, and I'm very happy to share the link with you. And what I did was initially, because it's going to be so uncomfortable, it's something you've never done, I was solely focusing on my breath. So I was breathing, but my focus was just on my breath instead of focusing on my thoughts or whatever. So just focusing on the breath. And you do that until you reach this state of calm, which is basically, I think the best way I can describe it is it's this state of surrender. And now I'm at the point where I can very quickly go into it in that state of calm and just presence and just breathing. And I don't really focus on my breath anymore. I'm not there, like I'm way past that. But when I started, that's the thing that worked for me. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is that it was very hard to find guidance on this. And a lot of people say there's no right way or wrong way to meditate. And I understand what they mean, but when you've never done it, you do need a bit of guidance. So anyway, that's what worked for me, and that's why I wanted to share it with you, and I really hope that helps you. And one thing I wanted to ask as well is that I've read this book, The Untethered Soul. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's more of a spiritual book, and it explains how we are not our thoughts and emotions and how to observe them and what our role is and all of that. And if you are interested in me summarizing that book, please leave me a comment below, and I'd be more than happy to do that, because as a person that was very, like I said, rational, left brain, scientifically driven, that's why I chose the path of summarizing books initially, because that's what worked for me. But opening myself up to the spiritual world and the right brain to balance it all really, really helped me. And I'm not talking just in my parenting, I'm talking about me. Like, I've grown so much in the past few years, and I feel so much more at peace and expanded. And so I do feel that probably that's one thing that's missing from my channel, is more of a spiritual guidance as well, because I do believe that this life is all about balance, and we can't just be in our left brain. We just need to balance both. So if you are interested in more content like that, please let me know, and I'll do that as well. All right, chat to you soon. Bye.